Hello everyone in the multiverse and beyond. This is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, with an important video. Today we are going to be discussing the secret hidden Illuminati truth behind the Salem Witch Trials that happened on this land, okay, in the past in 1692. Alright, so I'll just get to the point. What is the hidden Illuminati secret about the Salem Witch Trials? Well, the fact that I, Evan Lefavor, I am a direct bloodline descendant of one of the original women killed at Salem for being a witch. Okay? And her name was Elizabeth Howe. Okay? And she was married to a blind man named James Howe, and they had 6 children together. All right, and they lived in the Ipswich community, and everything was going good. Elizabeth was a herbalist and a midwife, and suddenly one of the little girls in Ipswich started having these convulsions and these fits, these night terrors, where she would complain about feeling needles prickling her all over and all kinds of other stuff and pains coming from nowhere. So this little girl starts saying that all this stuff that's happening to her is because of Elizabeth Howe being a witch, my family member. Okay, so basically she's the first one to accuse my relative of being a witch. Okay, and so after this started happening, all these girls in the Salem village started accusing her of being a witch as well. Okay, and so they finally, and you have to understand, this community of people in Ipswich and in Salem, they were crazy. Okay, for lack of a better term, they were crazy. All right, they had a crazy religion. All right, they were Puritans and Christians or whatever, and their whole thing was they believed in the devil. They're scared of the devil. Okay, so that's what this is all about. And they said witches are women that are in league with the devil, and so they put out an arrest warrant for my family member, my relative, Elizabeth Howe. Okay, and they brought her into court, and they made her go on trial in the Salem Witch Trials. Okay, and all these girls in Salem started accusing her of being a witch and casting spells on them to afflict them with pain. And they would go so far as when she would come into the courtroom, they would fall over on the ground and start convulsing and making a big scene and making it seem like my relative was doing this to them, when in reality my relative wasn't doing any of this. Okay, but they were acting like she was using her magical witch powers to choke them and make them fall to the ground and shake. Okay, so they put on, these girls gathered together, these young girls, and they all started accusing my relative of being a witch. All right, and if you've ever seen the movie The Crucible, or heard of the play The Crucible? It is based on my true story of my family back in Ipswich and Salem. Okay, and what happened at the Salem Witch Trials. All right, it's based on a true story, my family history. Okay, and so they put Elizabeth Howe on trial. All right, and they kept her in prison, and they kept her shackled up for 2 months. Okay, they kept her in prison, and they didn't treat her with any human dignity at all, because she was guilty until proven innocent. So they were treating her like a witch. So they had her shackled up in a cell, and they'd check her over her whole body for witch marks and do all kinds of other things, basically torturing her. All right, and then a couple months after being put through all this and all the Salem witch trials, even people came forward and even accused her of cursing their cows and their cattle. So that's why the cow doesn't produce milk, or whatever their accusation was. They blamed her for being a witch and cursing them. Okay, so it was all these crazy people, most of them young girls, manipulating these evil, crazy, religious people in the town of Salem. All right, and they sentenced my relative, my family member, Elizabeth Howe, to death. Okay, they sentenced her to death, and they hung her. All right, in the year 1692, they hung her, and she was murdered. Okay, they called her a witch, and then they straight up murdered her. All right, which is why I don't appreciate the American culture and Hollywood and how they use witch, and they make witches out to be these evil things that need to be killed. Starting with the Wizard of Oz back in the day, the witch, the evil, wicked witch, and you need to kill her and all this and that. And then they have all these witch hunter shows, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, and Vin Diesel's new movie, The Last Witch Hunter, where all the witches are the evil things that need to be killed, and the witch hunters are the ones that murder the witches are the good guys. Well, it's a bunch of crap, okay? Because this really happened to my family, all right? This really happened to them, all right? My relative, Elizabeth Howe, was called a witch, all right? They called her a witch, and then they killed her for it, all right? They murdered her, all right? They tortured her for 2 months and then murdered her by hanging. They hung her, okay? And killed her. So the word witch is a derogatory term to me, all right? It's just like the N-word is offensive to people. To me, the word witch is offensive to me, all right? Because I come from a witch who was called a witch and then killed, okay? And so that's the truth of the matter, all right? So it's a little offensive to me that American culture on Halloween uses witches, and oh, you dress up as an ugly witch, or you know, there's all these stereotypes and stuff. But witches are good. Witches aren't evil. Witches aren't things to be killed. Witches aren't things to be hunted down. But there was in the past, in the 1600s, that's what they were doing with the Christian Crusades and the Salem Witch Trials and all these crazy, evil religious people killing innocent people because they were supposedly witches, killing innocent women because they're supposedly witches. All right, it's bullshit. It's evil, and it really happened. All right, they made many movies about it, like The Crucible and all these other movies, but it really happened. Okay, Elizabeth was murdered. All right, she was murdered and called a witch, and it's horrible. All right, so I don't appreciate, Hollywood demonizing witches and portraying them as evil things that need to be killed, and then glorifying the people that murder witches and calling them heroes. It's terrible, because the people who murdered Elizabeth Howe were not heroes. They were evil, crazy people. All right, and they had no right murdering her because she's a witch. Even if she is a witch, witches shouldn't be killed. All right, so my Illuminati Knights in Hollywood have been making certain movies, like the Harry Potter movies and stuff, to show witches in a good light instead of having them being in a negative light all the time. All right, so it's good that they're coming out with some good witch shows, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch and all these good witch shows. All right, because witches were good. All right, they don't put curses on people, and they're not evil, and they don't do evil things. All right, my relative Elizabeth, she was not evil. Did she have magical powers? Yes, she did. But did she use them to hurt people? No, she didn't. All right, she just comes from a royal bloodline. All right, she comes from a bloodline that has special powers. Okay, so, but that didn't make her a bad person. That didn't make her evil, and it didn't make her, someone that should have been hung. All right, but she was. So they've been making movies about. They made a movie called The Covenant, which is about my family bloodline and the story about what happened to it nowadays. All right, so it's basically based on my true life story. All right, except of course the character based on me is evil, and they demonize him and all this and make him into a bad guy. But it's about the bloodline from Ipswich, basically my bloodline and a couple other bloodlines, and what happened to them in the current day. All right, so they made a movie about that, and like I said, they show some things like Harry Potter and stuff show witches in a good light, but a lot of them are shown in a negative light. Okay, but this is the truth about my bloodline. I am a direct bloodline descendant of one of the original women killed in the Salem Witch Trials for being a witch. All right, and I'm going to make another video at a later date talking about how I time traveled into the past, into the 1600s, to save my relative from being murdered, to save women from being murdered for being witches. And I even stopped and had a painting made of me in the year 1642 to basically prove that I was in the past, to leave a hidden clue in the past. All right, because I am part of the good Illuminati, and I am a time traveler as well. All right, that's one of my abilities, is I am a time traveler. And another movie they made that's based on my life is The Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher. It's a really good movie. It's based on my true story. All right, and keep checking out my channel for future videos, because I'm going to be making a video all about the movie The Butterfly Effect and how it connects to the Illuminati and how it connects to my true story and how it's based on me. And I'm going to be making some other videos in the future talking about movies that are connected to the true story that's going on right here on this planet. Alright? So if you're into that kind of stuff, stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and check out some of my other videos in my playlists on my channel. Thank you so much. Now you know the truth, okay? Because, like I said, I love witches, and you should love witches too, because witches aren't evil. Alright? Women should never be murdered for any reason, let alone for being a witch. Alright? Because, like I said, I'm talking about my family here. Alright? And, you know, what's the moral of the story? Well, stay tuned to my channel. Check out some of my other videos, and you'll find out what I'm doing to rectify what happened to my ancestor way back in the past, because it was wrong what happened to her. Alright? So check out my channel and enjoy. I'm sure you'll find my videos to be very informative and stimulating. Okay? But now you know the truth. Evan Lefavor is the direct bloodline descendant of Elizabeth Howe, one of the original women killed in the Salem Witch Trials for being a witch. Alright? And maybe that's one of the reasons why I have these powers that I have. Alright? But I'm going to tell you more about my time that I time traveled back into the 1600s in another video. But I'm going to say that for another video, so I'm going to let you all go now. So thank you so much, and I will see you next video. This is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, signing off. Bye-bye.